without knowing. Just throw the peace sign, tell them good vibes only, yeah. They were hating, but we didn't even notice.
How you guys doing today? My name is Jessica Johnson from Western Michigan. And before I begin, I'd like to thank all of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos. I could not tell you how grateful I truly am for you. You know, um, it's great to get out there and to be able to, to talk about this kind of stuff. I feel like I'm in my element and being able to bring, knowledge to everyone else. Today we're going to be talking about the ninth dimension. And the ninth dimension is one of, the most important as far as that knowledge, because then you're going to realize through this dimension your own true power of who you truly are. And I couldn't say it enough about learning about this stuff, because it gives you a whole different perspective of your experience and what you're to learn as a soul as you evolve. So so for those that have been following me on Facebook or even subscribed to my channel on YouTube, when I have discussed about all the previous dimensions, what would you imagine the ninth dimension to be like? How would you even envision it? What wisdom do you think that we would find in this dimension? What does the ninth dimension tell us about ourselves? How does the universe see itself? In this dimension, will we find out who God is? Well, hold on, because we're about to dive deep into all these answers and even more. However, as with most of my discussions about these dimensions, what I have stated before is just basically touching the surface, because there is so much more to this ninth dimension as there is with any other dimension. I will tell you that as we travel further in this discussion, the rest is going to just absolutely blow your mind, and it will also maybe make much more sense to you. The words that convey the vibration of the ninth dimension is evolution, intergalactic, spiritual refinement, inner plane initiations, and allurement. As I have stated before, the ninth dimension is the galactic center, where it's metaphysically described as the black hole that acts as a gravitational linchpin of our own system. And from the multidimensional view, it's the heart of the Milky Way, which is a galaxy, an interface, and a transformal point into the next realm, which some would describe as a new universe. For some of you who had absolutely had followed me in discussing any of these dimensional realities, I stated that the most evolved entities are spherical, such as the Earth and the Sun and so on. So yes, the Earth is very much alive. So with that understanding, the ninth dimension of an entity says, if they say that I'm going to take the form of a planet, they do it. As a planetary stellar galactic consciousness, our form goes through an evolutionary stage, as does the human form. This is a hierarchy of dependency as well. Humanity needs Earth to develop and survive, right? But the the exact opposite, but the converse is not absolutely true. Similarity, the Earth depends on the Sun for its life, but the Sun can live without the Earth, a pattern that is repeated throughout all dimensional evolution. Some would describe the ninth dimension as the death portal, not that of the physical body or even the soul. So why would that be described as the death portal? It kind of sounds very ominous, right? Well, to understand this, when a soul leaves its physical body, it does pass through the portal on its way into the manifested dimensions of light. And all the lower dimensions are only but variations of densifying light. Once through the portal, the soul manifests in its first individual form, and it is birthed through it is of an extremely high vibration, and it is physically manifested. Once the soul passes through the portal on its return to source, it creates to be manifested, but it merges back into pure energy of the universe. From the universal creator, the sun, we project ourselves through all these dimensions. This idea is then received by the crystal core of Mother Earth. Now, the holographic projections of our multidimensional entities can start. When we've access to this consciousness, we can adjust our reality to the higher idea of who we are. The ninth dimension is full of cosmic consciousness, which has full responsibility of stewardship of this planet. A good explanation of all this is how a Native American by the name of Hanclow had described how all this works. The ninth dimension exists along the axis of the world tree, which is grounded in the center of the earth. The world tree is a cosmic creative force that creates time in all the dimensional realms. Belief in the world tree is a global phenomenon found in different names. The center of the earth is the first dimension, and the center of the galaxy is the ninth. She states that it is crucial for us to return to the relationship with the nine dimensions. The reorients us inside the cosmology in the world tree, which also familiarizes us with the energies and qualities of the unseen world in order to better interact with, along with listening to them. Hanclow says that being grounded in our own inner world tree orients us in our own lives as well as the larger stories that are embedded within. Generating the world tree in our bodies serves as a grounding energy for everyone around us. One way to begin is to ground into our own world tree, is to learn about all nine dimensions that exist along its axis. It's better to understand that the center of the galaxy, it's all about time created, the alive time that creates all that has ever been and everything that is ever will be. In the spinning black womb-like hive with its tendrils of darkness, it flows forth and are turned into light. The light interacts with the darkness, giving rise to our experience. And the experience, as you would guess, creates more experience along with many intersecting layers of time. So, what exactly does the ninth dimension tell us about ourselves? How exactly does the universe see itself? The moment that the whole universe takes consciousness about itself, it starts to realize that the last dimension that appears in the universe is, as one would used to call it, God. Yet, it's not just the last one, it's also the first one. The first dimension is the one the consciousness realizes that the only thing that it has is the mind. It's mentalism. The mind is the only one that exists in the first dimension. It's the idea, it's the dream. It's when the first dimension says, I know who I am. I am is the most powerful statement in the universe. It's the only thing that exists. I am in everything. I am all. I am nothing. I am void. I am everyone. So, in this moment, when it realizes about itself, it starts to wonder, what could I become? So, it becomes the second dimension. And the second dimension will show the entity that what it had within, to show it from outside. The entity starts to ask itself, what could I do with these questions? What could I do with these reflections I am having with myself? So it starts to create a third dimension. The third dimension entities start to experience those statements of the universe. Who am I? Who I am? What could I become? Who could I come to become? The third dimension, the mind of the universe, can experience what it has to think about itself. So, at the moment of the third dimension was created, the second dimension starts to split by two. So it becomes the fourth dimension. And the fourth dimension will be the time in which the space dimension will leave. Through the fourth dimension, it will allow an entity to understand itself in many different perspectives of time. So in the fourth dimension, once we have done the path of expression, experimentation, integration, and transcendence, the fourth dimension then becomes the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension will show you the light, the clarity of the whole process. Like polarity will create the sixth dimension, which will allow you to create new realities in time and space, and to be the alchemist of the time and space. When both of the positive and negative starts to realize everything in every dimension, as well as every possibility you have, it will then become the seventh dimension. The seventh dimension will hold the seven laws of the universe and the coherence of every dimension. The seventh dimension is also the place where you will have the glory and the heaven where you could feel as well as to understand everything that is going to happen, will happen, and happening now. This is why from the seventh dimension, it starts to become the eighth dimension. And well, we all know about the eighth dimension, right? The eighth dimension is the network of consciousness of the universe. And from there, you could see it like a huge library where you could have all the information. It's having a record of every entity in every system, in every dimension, in every time, in every space, and looking to every direction within every reality of consciousness that comes back to the core, to the very center. Then you see the black hole. The black hole is not light anymore. The light comes from the very beginning when the positive and negative had started to go around the universe. And when the positive and negative creates the energy to make the light, but the ninth dimension, it's not light. It's a black hole where everything is contained, where everything can be transcended. The dimension of reality, the real reality, the truth, it is where there is no place to go, nothing to see, but it is of unity, which you as a whole entity, as God or a goddess, just realize who you can become. So the Holy Spirit's in integration. Every expression you got in the universe, it's being transcended. That means the ninth dimension is the one that lets it be everything and lets go of everything, that doesn't hold all the reality it created. There is no procession. There's no I. There's no me. So everything goes void. The ninth dimension is the void where you can create everything, again in another perspective, in another dimension, in a new universe. And as we said, the first dimension is the expression of the universe from the ninth. And the fifth dimension will be the dimension where the entities realize about the experience from the time and space. And that's why the fifth dimension is the master dimension where you can see every experience you have. Then you will have the seventh dimension where it's the integration of everything that you have created. The seventh dimension is where every law and everything that you have created in the sixth and the fifth is aligned in just one entity. It's called integration. Then you have the ninth dimension, which is the transcendence, the process of the universe. Our cultural way of thinking, we used to believe that going to God is like going to the light. Yet the moment you reach the dimension of God, you will only find void, only the shadow who loves you to be bright by yourself. So God doesn't have any type of perspective. God doesn't have any dimension. God is everything, or even a goddess of everything. So you don't have a positive or a negative. We call it or the void. So it's a place and a time where there is no place or time, where there is nothing, where you could create from the very beginning, from the new idea that you have about the universe. This is why in the ninth dimension it is the most important dimension, because it is when you forget about yourself. There is no me, there is no us. When there is nothing around and nothing within, when everything is at peace, where you could find every possibility and in every spot in the universe. Many entities from this planet realize that the whole world that we're living in is like a big projecta. A predicta is like a Latin term which means predicted, foretold, or warned. So if we know how to go to the third dimension in every one of those spots within the network of the predicta, we could find the ways and the portals through the sixth dimension to go to the core of the predicta and change every reality as if it were mirrors looking into the sun. And if you change all these mirrors, you could switch the third dimension toward the sixth dimension to the core of the ninth dimension. So that's why for ancient people that we call every path, every lesson we have on this path, the enchanted path, to make men and women into gods and goddesses. The path towards the divine. It was realized that we are matter in the third dimension. We are to transform ourselves. That the only way that you could do this was through the void of the ninth dimension. So that is why it is important to find the void within, to find void within matter, the void within the soul, in the emotions, the void in your mind. If you accomplish the void and you just realize that you cannot feel anything, that you cannot feel by emotions, that you cannot feel by body, that you cannot feel by mind, that you are just simply are, that there is nothing out there or nothing within. Your body is just a projection from the first dimension, and that your mind is the only thing that spreads all over the universe. You cannot even see it because everything is just like a big shadow, a darkness that is so deep and peaceful, which is the moment that you are connected to the ninth dimension. The ninth dimension doesn't hold every dimension. That's the eighth dimension. God is not holding anything. God is not even consciousness. God is the void that allows the consciousness to be aware of itself and to create new universes by freedom. We are multidimensional entities being created in many different levels through the first, the fifth, the seventh, and then the second, the fourth, the eighth, then the third, the sixth, and the ninth. So these groups of three are the ones that allow us to understand that the dimensions are not relative. So when you have the trinity of the first dimension is the consciousness of itself, and the consciousness that allows the higher consciousness of the fifth dimension to see the process of everything that the first one will express. Then the seventh dimension is the highest vibration of all, which connects the whole process through the laws of the universe. So let's break this all down. So the first, the fifth, and the seventh dimension will be the trinity to understand the consciousness of the entity. Then the second dimension will multiply the fourth dimension, and then the eighth dimension. The second dimension will be the positive and negative to see itself. The fourth dimension will bring you the process of time in which you can see every positive and every negative. So every mirror of time, and then you go, and then through the eighth dimension is to basically understand the whole process of consciousness of every single time you have created the universe to see yourself in many different directions. So you have the trinity of time, which is the 2, the 4, and the eighth dimension. Then you have the trinity of matter and the trinity of creation. The trinity of creation is the dimensions of 3, 6, and 9. We are human beings. We are in the third dimension. The third dimension is a structure that is the past, present, and future, a linear timeline. We are conditioned by this time and space, yet then you have to multiply the third dimension, and that will give you the sixth dimension. And when you find the sixth dimension, you will know that you can transform your past, transform your present, and transform your future. All three of them is just one reality. You become like an alchemist in the sixth dimension to transform this reality in the third dimension. Then you have the ninth dimension. The ninth dimension winds up showing you the purpose of the whole process of the experimentation. in the third dimension. That's why we are so connected to the ninth dimension, because it helps us to understand why we are here. That's why we need to imagine of God or someone that helps us to understand why we are here. It's because we are straight connected to the ninth dimension. This type of thing is not a problem for entities in the second or the fourth or even the eighth or even the seventh dimension. These are not problems that are wondered in those dimensions. Only entities who dwell in the third and the sixth dimensions are asking and feeling the presence of God, because we are exactly the projection of that divine here in matter. So the second, the fourth, and the eighth dimension are the trinities toward time and space with the energy that flows in time. The third, the sixth, and the ninth dimension will allow you to go through every time and space to unite them in just one reality, which is the void. Everything is in the third dimension. The void is in the ninth dimension, where the sixth dimension is just the bridge between both of them, helping us to realize that the only way that we can transform reality in the third dimension is if we become void to create those realities. So why is the third, the sixth, and the ninth dimension so important? Well, the dimensions of the third, the sixth, and the ninth are so important for us to understand because they are the keys to transforming every reality. So if you have followed me when I discussed the previous dimensions, I would suspect that you kind of know the importance of the inner wisdom of those numbers. We ordered these dimensions and numbers from 1 through 9 because we needed to arrange the separation of things, because we are in the third dimension and that works best for us. Yet, as I had said before, the ninth dimension are not specifically ordered by numbers, but by geometry. So by geometry, we can understand that the third dimension is the structure of time and space to be lived there. It's a dimension where the trinity of the universe has been created in an entity called the spirit, the soul, and the body. That is why the third dimension is the only dimension that you can actually lead the three of them in just one. That is why the three is so important, because it's our mind, it's our emotions, it's our actions all together in just one entity. This entity has to look for the coherence between the three of them. And that's why in our lives we are asked to be coherent. We will start to see that the three in every moment in our lives, the three starts to repeat itself, and it starts to call ourselves to be connected to the trinity of ourselves, to be coherent with ourselves. That is why they did the path of recognition of the whole being asked in different ways, and in different ways in which you should understand every stage of the universe until you can transform the universe. This is the reason why some orders had the Great 33, which is the age in which Jesus was transcended. The 33 is just a code where someone realized how to transform itself through the matter, through the body. So these numbers are calling us all the time to remind us that we have to become gods and goddesses of earth. That's why it's so important for some masters to die at 33, or to transcend at 33, or to teach at the 33, because it's just a code. It's not a number per se. It's just a code in between one trinity that is positive and one that is negative. When they connect you, you have what is called the Merkaba, this guy right here. So with knowing this code, think about every organization and every secret society who had used the code 33. What are they really saying? So the Merkaba, the sacred geometry that's right behind me, it turns the energy from positive to negative, creating this tetrahedron, this trinity like wheel of creation of the entity. And once you have this creation, you realize that the importance about the sixth. The sixth is really important because it is the one that molds realities, and that's why 66 is used to be the numbers of transformation. So, what happened to this number? Why are people so frightened of it? So, let me explain. The number 66 or even 666 are certainly the numbers of transformation. People are scared about the number 6 because 6 means death and the 6 means the destruction. Well, why? It's because to be another entity, you have to destroy what you have become. You have to forget who you are in order to be another entity. You have to let go of every reality that you have created and that you have lived in. To be safe in this reality, you have to fear the 666. You should fear the number 6. That would change your life, right? That's the number that will make you die, and that will transform you in such a way that you'll wind up forgetting about yourself. So, according to the sixth dimension, is just the one that lights yourself and to be your own creator. And that is why, through the story and history, we had all these people that didn't want you to realize that you were about to contact the energy of God to yourself and transform your own reality. And that is why they made you fear the number 6. You see, from this, you will find that the number 9, which can also be repeated, such as the number 999, this is the number of God. It's the number of the whole, the number of transcendence of reality that you have created before. And that is why we are so bounded and connected to these 3 numbers, because we are the Trinity that are meant to go to the divine. Our religions have created this idea of someone or something that is bigger than us since thousands of years ago. We had this knowledge that within that we were heading to some special spot in the universe where God, Allah, or whatever you believe exists. It's because it's a place you are meant to go. So even the smallest human being in this planet kind of knows that there exists something above or in or out or even inside that is much more powerful than we are, that we call God. But it's not outside or within. It's just the construction of every reality outside and within. And when we say that it is bigger than us, it's not because we are smaller. It's because we are just a projection of himself. So we can see the whole picture of the reality of the ninth dimension. We can see, so naturally we have this idea of something bigger than ourselves, that is something that holds the whole universe. But in order to get there, we have to forget the universe. We have to forget that we believe in the universe. This is why it's important for you to know that the ninth dimension is because you will find yourself in front of the ninth dimension. It's possible you cannot feel any thought. You will just be nothing, and people fear nothing. The fear of void. They fear the shadow because it's the total opposite to what we were taught about God. What is amazing about the ninth dimension is exactly that. When you go to the ninth dimension, when you feel the ninth dimension, suddenly you feel that there is nothing that exists. There is only one thing that you can do, that you will realize that you are thinking, and that the only thing that exists there is your thoughts of what is and who am I. That is the goal of the ninth dimension, is that the only thinking in the universe is you, and that's God. You realize that the only creator that exists is just one, and you're it. That is who God is. It's you. So I hope that this gives you a sense of understanding about the ninth dimension and what we are here for. What is the purpose of our experimentation and being able to go through these dimensions and evolve as spirits? So I thank you so much for watching my video. And for more great, awesome videos, please go ahead and subscribe below. And I thank you all for coming by and watching about the ninth dimension. And I hope it gives you a, a unique perspective of what everything is all about and why you are here. So I honor you all, and I thank you so much, and I will see you next time.